boring instructors are a result of quiet students, right? Y'all all here on your time, okay? And I really appreciate you guys just, dedicating your time to come out here and listen to me to talk for a little while. But this workshop, Peter invited me to come in here. I want you guys to get the most out of this as possible, right? So please ask questions. If one of you have a question and you're too shy to ask it, there's probably another person in this room that has that same question, and nobody's going to leave here with all the information that I have available, right? So just throwing that out there. So why are we here, right? Because just like Peter said, how many of us have our CCW permits or taken, basic pistol class and stuff like that? What do they always talk about, right? They always talk about what happens before, right? They talk about the legal consequences of getting into a shooting and all that kind of stuff, but they never actually take you step by step of what to do after the shot, right? And that's what we're here to talk about. So not only are we going to be talking about this, but I'm going to give you guys some breath of fresh air maybe. I'm going to give you guys some legal updates that unless you actually really dig deep into, like I do, the advocacy world for Second Amendment and stuff like that. I'm going to give you some legislative updates of some laws that are coming, some laws that are already in place that are being affected by some of the lawsuits, and then I have some really exciting information about the California handgun roster today, just released this morning, right? So this is kind of an all, yes, sir. So this is going to be kind of like real high speed, but a very informative class. Like I said, I'm here all night. As long as you guys have questions, I will be here all night or until Peter kicks us all out, right? This is your guys' thing. So who am I, right? My name is Matt Haywood. I am a retired law enforcement officer up from Northern California. I worked as a police officer for 14 years. Prior to that, I was a dispatcher, worked in records, all that kind of stuff. I did everything as a law enforcement officer, from basic patrol, bicycle patrol, all the way up to undercover narcotics task force work. Did some stuff with some gang task force, all those type of things. I was a firearms instructor for my department for 10 years. And then, unfortunately, a utility truck blew a red light and T-boned me in 2014, which forced me to retire. So once I did that, I got into my own firearms training business, opened that. It's still up and running. I have a couple of instructors that run that for me, and really got me into the Second Amendment advocacy world. So if you guys are familiar with organizations like CRPA, Firearms Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners America, I do travel across the country doing keynote speaking engagements for those companies. And on top of that, I'm also a part of 9 different lawsuits against the state of California, right? Probably the biggest lawsuit you guys are familiar with is May v. Bonta, which has to do with California sensitive areas. So I've written a couple supplemental briefs for them. Some of the other ones too, like I've had some input with like Duncan v. Bonta, which has to do with our magazine bans. Bolin v. Bonta, which is the handgun roster that we're going to talk a little bit about later. And then there's a couple other ones that really don't affect the consumer, but more affect people like me and Peter that have our FFLs, right? Richards v. Newsom is the big one that I'm a part of there, which has to do with like the camera system and all those type of things. So having said that, guys, I've dedicated a lot of my time with this particular topic, with the legal topic and those lawsuits and stuff like that. I have been hired as an expert witness on multiple occasions for self-defense, use of force, and firearms expert in criminal court cases. I can tell you that every case that I've presented at, I'm not trying to brag, I'm just throwing out some facts here. Whoever hired me, we've won, right? So I don't say this stuff to brag. I just want you guys to know who you're talking to and who's actually talking to you today, right? So let's think about this. When what happens? You're in the worst day of your life, right? You get involved in a self-defense shooting or a shooting to defend another person, it's going to be the worst day of our lives, right? We don't want to do that. So what's your thought process after that? What have you all been told? Right?
Stay quiet.
Stay quiet. How was? Good.
Maybe call the cops and just tell them there's a shooting.
Okay.
And just send somebody to go.
Okay, so call 911. Hey, I had to shoot somebody to defend myself. I don't want to talk to anybody else until my attorney. Okay.
There was a shooting. We need medical and police.
Okay. Awesome. What else have we thought about? So we made the 911 phone call. What's our next step?
Have someone else call if possible.
Absolutely, right? That's the best case scenario, right? Is have somebody else tell the story, right? What was that? Identify what I look like, right? So yeah, explain, hey, this is what I look like, right? Again, let everybody else tell the story, right? Because remember, it's all public perception anyway, What you say is going to be filtered through your attorney if you're smart about it, right? So what are some other things that we've learned about or talked about that could happen after an incident?
You can't provide first aid. So.
Are you legally required to provide first aid, though?
No, but you want to show what's happening with the person.
Do you? How afraid of that person are you if they're on the ground, they just got attacked, and now you're sitting there trying to provide the first aid to save their life?
I already put my zip ties on the wrist.
So you're going to unlawfully detain somebody at that point. Right? Think about that for a second. What's false imprisonment, right? Preventing the movement of a free person, right? Against their will. Well, what are you doing if you're handcuffing them, even zip tying them, right? You're actually arresting that person. We don't want to arrest that person. I'm afraid of that person, right? And if I'm so afraid of that person, why would I render him aid? I have no duty to render him aid unless you're a paramedic that's on duty or a police officer that's on duty or a firefighter that's on duty. You have no legal requirement to render them aid. And if you were one of those individuals, the only time you're required to render aid is if it's safe for you to do so.
You could be breaking the law also.
How could you be breaking the law by rendering them aid?
Because you're, trespassing on a person's body.
A Good Samaritan law covers you for that as long as you're only providing care up to and not exceeding your level of training. How many of us have taken a Stop the Bleed class? Right? So what are you taught in a Stop the Bleed class? How to plug a hole and apply a tourniquet. That's the maximum amount of effort you can do to save that person's life.
Stop bleeding.
Yeah, right?
Stop bleeding.
They can do like CPR.
Okay. But you're only, like I said, you're not required to do that, and you're only protected as long as you're within your scope of your actual training. And I will argue with you every single day. How afraid of that person were you if you're continually trying to save their life, right?
Somebody else is covering you with the gun.
Yeah, why? Why would you stay in that position of danger, right? Yes, sir.
Realistically, so if you were afraid of that person, they're attacking you, about to take your life away, you shoot them, you think about saving their life, right? You save their life. Like, I wasn't attacking him, and now he has a case against you.
Okay, so here, let me make it a little bit more clear for y'all, right? I've seen it in court. Okay? It's this exact statement from a prosecutor that put somebody that used force to defend themselves into jail. You ready for this one? Here's the argument. One, you weren't actually afraid of that person because you're still around that person, okay? But number two, why were you trying to save that person's life? It's because you know that you made a mistake and you didn't want to go to prison for murder and you only wanted to be held accountable for the attempted manslaughter. Is that correct? How did that sound?
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad, huh? How afraid of that person are you? Right? I've seen it in court. That's why this is why. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm just saying, hey, this is my experiences and this is what I've seen happen. Yes, sir.
Isn't the protocol for the LAPD for an officer involved shooting for the officer to say nothing for the next 24 to 48 hours?
So the protocol for law enforcement in general, right? So California has a police officer bill of rights. It's actually a nationwide thing, specific in most states, but we'll talk more specifically about California. If you're involved in an officer or an on-duty shooting, right, you have to provide a very basic public safety statement, which is, hey, I discharged my firearm, right? I shot in that direction, right? And the reason we tell them, hey, I shot in that direction is because most of the time we miss, right? I hate to say that, right? On average, law enforcement has about a 23% hit ratio on duty, okay? So if you fire 10 rounds and you're only at a 23%, where do the other 7 to 8 rounds go, right? So we always say, in law enforcement aspect, hey, I shot in that direction so we can look for collateral damage or injuries. But yes, Peace Officer Bill of Rights, basically you're going to have a representative come out here, right? Detectives are going to come out. They're going to confiscate your firearm. They're supposed to give you a new one. And then they tell you to go back to the office, wait for your representation. And under your Peace Officer Bill of Rights, you are not allowed to provide a statement, even guided by your attorney or your representative, unless it's after 72 hours or 3 full sleep cycles.
So
You as a civilian don't have that protection.
Well, why wouldn't I just adopt that same protocol?
Because if you don't have an attorney, they can still ask you all those questions. See, remember, law enforcement can always interview you And they can take anything you say, even if it's a spontaneous statement, right? You tell me, I'm an officer, you're involved in a situation, right? And you go, hey, Officer Haywood, I really want to cooperate with this investigation, but I need to talk to my attorney first, right? That's what we're all taught to say, right? But so I leave you there, you're in the backseat of my patrol car, or you're on the curb, right? My partner's over here, and I'm going to deal with this, and then your wife shows up, and you go, yeah, I don't know what happened, honey. I just had to shoot him and this and that. Guess what? That's all admissible in court. As a police officer, it's not, because you're already protected there, right? Civilians don't have that protection.
So why not, this is who I am, I was in imminent danger, when I felt I was in imminent danger, I took action to protect myself. I'd be happy to cooperate and talk more after I have a chance to talk to my lawyer, and I broke over my constitution.
Right. So we're always told, right? Like some of the companies out there that are, you can watch YouTube videos all the time, and all these people tell you, hey, this is the script that you need to have, right? Hey, my name is this is where I was at. I was attacked. I was in fear for my life. I shot my gun. I need police, fire, ambulance, and hang up the phone, right? If that's what you want to say, great, but why would you provide more ammunition for the incident? We're going to talk about what you're legally required actually to say, okay? So that's who I am. So what are we going to learn? Again, we're going to learn the actual true goal of self-defense. Can somebody tell me what their goal of having a CCW permit is right now? What is your goal of having a CCW permit since you decided to speak up?
To protect myself, the bravest and extreme.
Okay, hold that thought. I might change your mind by the end of the night. Okay? Yes, sir. Come on, Peter.
My wife yell at me for driving home from a
I'm sorry? If you want to take pictures, you can, absolutely. If you want to reach out to me later, I'd be happy to share it with you.
What was the question again?
If you guys wanted a copy of my presentation. What is your goal of having a CCW permit? And if you've listened to me speak, you cannot answer that question. What's your goal, right?
So I've got two goals.
Okay.
One goal is I'm a volunteer security officer, and as an organization that contacts the community.
Okay.
I volunteer around 40 hours a month, protecting synagogues, institutions.
And we appreciate that, sir. There's not a lot of us out there, absolutely.
Fully licensed and everything else. My CCW so that I can carry my dress uniform.
Okay.
Which is basically a suit with a firearm under the jacket.
Okay.
And that's one thing. And then the other is just general self-defense for myself when I'm out and about in the community.
Okay. Cool. Does anybody have a different goal? All right. Like I said, I might change your guys' mind here. So we're going to talk about the goals of self-defense. We're also going to talk about what happens after the shooting, right? You might have a very basic understanding what happens afterwards, but we're going to go into a little bit in depth. We're going to talk about how we actually react with those responding officers. And then last but not least, like I said, I'm just the messenger. So some of the things I'm going to talk about in the last segment here, you're going to hate me for, but again, don't kill the messenger. But other stuff, you're going to be like, heck yeah, let's get this rolling, okay? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the goals, right? In self-defense, we're really just defining, I'm going to win this fight, right? That's what this is. I'm in a fight for my life or the life of another person. I'm going to win this fight. So when we talk about this, most people think that, me getting a shooting, I get my gun out, I shoot first, I win, right? Well, remember, there's actually 3 fights when it comes to a self-defense incident. Who can tell me those 3 fights? Who can tell me the 3 fights of a self-defense incident? And unless you have a really passionate CCW instructor that actually really cares about making sure that you guys get to accomplish your goals of having a CCW, you probably have never heard this before. So there's 3 fights. You have your physical fight, right? The physical fight, the one that our goal of having a CCW is to survive. Yeah? Okay. What's the second fight?
Legal.
The legal fight. What's the third fight?
Emotional.
Nope. Emotional, your mental health, right? Those are the 3 fights. What's the hardest one to win?
The last one.
Your mental health, right? What's the second hardest one to win?
Legal.
The legal, right? And that all comes down to what? Money and what you have said, right? So we're going to go over all this today, okay? So when we talk about this, hopefully technology works. Ultimately, the 4 true goals, right? Stay alive, right? Win that physical fight. Avoid the rest, right? How do we avoid the rest? Well, we make ourselves the victim.
Sorry, avoid the
Arrest.
arrest.
Right? So how do you make yourself a victim? Because remember, the first person to call 911 is generally considered the victim, but when they do investigations, what do they look at? They look at a body on the ground, you're the one with the gun. Who's the suspect? You are, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that too, right? Avoid the conviction, right? That's that legal process we talked about, right? And then also avoid that financial ruin, right? Who can sue you in the state of California? For what? Anything, right? I don't like the way Peter just looked at me and kind of mocked me a little bit, so I'm going to sue him for defamation, and my feelings are hurt, right?
Suck it up, buttercup.
But think about that, right? Anybody can sue anybody for anything. So we're gonna talk about having those protections, right? So we get to win all three of those fights. So what is the one question that changes everything, right? What's the one question? Is it worth it? That's the one question you need to be asking yourselves every single day. Is it worth it? How many of us have played the what if game at home, right? Hey, if I'm at the 7-Eleven, right? If this happens, what am I going to do? Are you going to get involved? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on the situation. Do I have my kids with me? Do I not? Do I have my significant other, if I still like her or not? Right? It's little things like that that it always depends, right? It depends on the situation whether I get involved. Yes, sir.
So my CCW instructor, and it really surprised me, he said, don't get involved.
Yep.
You can be an amazing expert witness. Right? Like, you can be a great witness, but don't get involved. I was like, really?
Yeah, ultimately that's the goal, right?
I was surprised.
And if you guys didn't hear, he's basically saying his last CCW instructor that he took said, don't get involved, be a good witness. And I would agree with that 100%. Okay? Yes, sir.
Certain cases, right? So if you're at a 7-Eleven, something goes down, that's one thing. But you're in a mall or something, and there's a mass shooting,
Okay.
there's a guy running around with an AR, right? Then you want to get involved.
Do you want to get involved? I don't. I want to.
Really, you don't want to get involved?
I wouldn't want to get. I want to go home at the end of the day, right? I want to go home and play video games with my kids. Right? And we'll talk about that. Remember, the law says you can and you can't do certain things. But when it comes to self-defense, what does the law say?
Has to be self-defense. Or
No.
protecting the life of others.
Your actions, your perceptions, your feelings of the incident have to be reasonable.
Good question.
Yes,
There's
sir.
a massacre going on, you're going to be next.
There's a massacre going on, and I'm going to be next. Okay?
You have the right to defend yourself.
Even if I'm not going to be next, I have the right to defend other people too.
Yes.
Yep.
You do have,
Doesn't mean I have to.
you have the right to.
I have the right to. The law says I have the right to, but it doesn't mean I have to. But remember, that's just the physical fight. Is it worth getting involved in that legal fight or that emotional fight? Right? And that's what we're here to talk about. Yes, sir.
Is there a legal fight in that situation?
Absolutely there is.
If there's a guy running around with an AR and he takes out half the mall and he's making out, there's going to be a legal fight?
We're in California.
This is California.
But no, hey, this incident occurred in California?
Yeah.
What shopping mall do you know that does not have a restaurant that serves alcohol? That's a prohibited zone. There's going to be a legal fight, I promise you. Remember, a CCW permit does not give you any more authority than anybody else in this world. A CCW permit is literally a piece of plastic that gives you permission to carry a firearm concealed upon your person in public. That's all a permit does.
But really, you honestly believe that if you save a bunch of people because of an actual like or like having this guy was on a mass shooting and you save that they're not going to let you off? Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Karen, that's
Wow.
he said it, I didn't. Right?
So if there's alcohol,
Absolutely.
there's alcohol in it.
But again, think about that, right? You brought up a shopping mall incident. Are you lawfully carrying a firearm at a shopping mall? No, you're not. So there's going to be a legal battle. And regardless if you did everything right, it's what we call the 90-10 rule, right? If you did everything 100% correct, there's still a 10% chance that you might have a prosecuting attorney, right, that doesn't like what you did, doesn't like the fact you have a CCW permit, all that kind of stuff. And then all it takes is for him to convince other people that witnessed it or other attorneys or the 12 people on your jury that you had some little itty-bitty intent to use your gun. And that's why I asked you guys the question about your goal of having a CCW permit, right? Because I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit how those words, I have a CCW permit. My goal to have a CCW permit is to use it to defend myself for the life of another person, how that could be used against you. Okay? So, remember, surviving the fight is only the first chapter, but you have to prepare for everything, right? So, again, what happens in the moments, days, and months after a shooting? Well, the first thing is we look at is the first 60 seconds after that shooting. What are you responsible for? You're responsible for your own safety. Okay? That's your number one priority. Are you safe? Is the threat actually over? Right? Because remember, even though everything that we get involved in happens in a split second, right? Anybody familiar with video editing? Right? Or frame rates? Okay? So when you look at like security footage, frame rates are usually done in about anywhere between 24 to 30 frames per second. What does that mean? There's 24 to 30 still pictures for every second of video you watch. What do you think that is presented to in a jury? 24 different pictures that the jury can evaluate to determine whether your actions were lawful or justified. But for us, happened that fast. So remember, in that first 60 seconds of that incident, everything is going to be scrutinized, right? So if we get involved in a situation, you got to move deliberately, right? Make deliberate moves, pre-planned moves. Make sure you stay calm. That's the big one too, right? I know it's going to be the most stressful incident of your life and you're never going to be able to prepare for it. But if you have to get involved in a shooting to defend yourself or life of another person, and all you're doing is run around like a madman, wailing your gun, going, oh my God, what did I do? Or worst case scenario, yeah, you screwed around with the wrong dude today. What does that look like? And you laugh, but I've heard it in court. Right? Now I'm censoring some things because I know what this is being recorded and I want to maintain a professional demeanor here. But insert 4-letter word here and there and you probably figure out exactly what that person said. Right? The other thing too is how many times somebody attacked me with a gun, I shoot him, right? He's on the ground, I defended myself. I'm going to hold this guy at gunpoint till the cops get there, so I'm just going to go up and I'm going to kick his gun away. Don't do that. Make sure you're safe. Take care of the problem and then go to a safe location. If he gets up and grabs a gun, that's not your problem anymore. Okay? It's not your job to finish the job because it wasn't a job that we wanted to do in the first place. Okay? Take care of the problem. Make sure you're safe. Right? Think about that. This is the one time that we get to be selfish, guys. Okay? It's the one time we get to be selfish and we get to victimize ourselves. And I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. Okay? So, calling 911. Think about this. The ideal caller is not you. It's another person. I get involved in a situation, right? I'm looking around and he's sitting there recording me on a cell phone. You know what I'm doing? Hey, I need help. Can't you just see what happened? Call 911. Let him tell his story. Right? Okay. We're all men here. How many of us are married or have a significant other at home? All right, here we go. You ready? What happens when we get into a passionate conversation with our significant other? She's accusing us of something, but we know we're 100% right. What do? We lose, but we do everything we can to win because we know we're right and we have what? It's called diarrhea of the mouth, right? Babe, I did this, I didn't do that. You're out of your mind. Blah, blah. What do you think's going to happen? You're going to ultimately lose because you're going to start saying stupid crap out of your mouth that's going to end up being used against you 3 years from now, huh? Because remember, they can't remember what happened yesterday, but they sure as hell remember what you said 3 years ago, don't they? Right? That's the reason I'm not married anymore. Anyway. Okay, but think about that for a second, guys. We got to have that plan, right? What are we going to say? Now, we all know that when we call 911, your phone call is being recorded, right? Yeah? When does that phone call start being recorded?
As soon as you call in.
What do you mean, as soon as I call in? Does it start recording when the dispatcher answers the phone? More specifically here in the LA area. 911, what's your emergency? Can you please hold? When does the phone call start being recorded? No, as soon as you hit that second one on a landline or you hit that send button on your cell phone, it's being recorded. I challenge every single one of you, leave here today, go on Google or YouTube or whatever and look and search up 911 phone calls. You're going to hear ringing in the background, and then the dispatcher's going to answer the phone. But while they're ringing in the background, what are you going to have? You're going to have a live mic to everything that's in the background. Okay?
As soon as you press send.
As soon as you press send, that phone call is being recorded. Why is that important to know? So you don't say something stupid like 911, oh my God, I can't believe I just did this. What happened? What happened? 911, it's your emergency. Or like the gentleman I just described a few minutes ago, right? Yeah, you deserve that, you piece of blah, 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 right? And in the background, his wife is going, yeah, mother, you deserve to be shot. What does that look like to a jury? Because I guarantee you that thing's going to be played in court no matter what you say. How does that look? Doesn't look very good, does it? No matter what you say. So call 911, understand the phone call is being recorded, and just shut up. Right? Now, if you're the one making the 911 phone call, you're in control of what's said, aren't you? If somebody else is calling 911, let them tell the story. That's fine. While they're on the phone with 911, you're on the phone with your attorney. Okay? But if you have to make that phone call, and I still suggest, even if you know somebody else is calling, when it's safe to do so, call 911 yourself. Okay? Yes, sir.
So, if you're well trained,
if I'm well trained,
you're gonna make that 911 phone call in a calm voice.
Well,
being calm to use the instant.
No, state of mind, not really. Like at that, it's what we call a heat of passion statement. No, you're going to be fine, right? Because remember, none of us are professionally trained. We're just highly trained unprofessionals, right? Right? You like that one?
That's the reason I took the CCW. Just to have the credential.
Absolutely.
Like could a prosecuting attorney, like say, you know, you're way too calm to be.
Yeah, a prosecuting attorney can say whatever they want.
You're way too calm, you know, in this situation. Are you sure you were scared?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. All it takes is for them to convince the jury, right? But you're not going to be perfectly calm, right? I can't put you under enough stress to actually accurately train you, right? And I'm never going to train you. I'm never going to tell you what to say, okay? This is why I don't believe having those little scripts in your wallet saying, okay, I get involved in a situation, I'm going to pull it out, I'm going to read from a script. Don't say that. Don't do that, right? Make yourself the victim, okay? But when you make yourself the victim, don't have diarrhea of the mouth like you're trying to explain something to your wife, okay? So we know the phone call is being recorded. From the moment I hit send, we're just going to shut up until the dispatcher answers the phone. And then what am I going to tell the dispatcher? Right? Before that, when are you required to actually call 911?
You're safe.
When it's safe to do so. Are you required to stay on scene? No. Only if it's safe to do so. So if I'm at the Walmart parking lot and some dirtbag comes and tries to attack me, and I can't defuse the situation, and I have to use my gun to defend myself, right? He's the only person that tried to attack me. Am I safe?
You don't know if he has a layoff guy.
What was that?
You don't know if he has a layoff guy.
Okay, I don't know if he's got partners or homies or anything like that, right? Okay? So one could say, no, I'm not really safe. But you know what? I'm in a vacant parking lot. He was the only person there. Am I safe? You know who I'm scared of? I'm scared of every single one of you that have never taken one of my classes. Because it's that hero CCW holder that thinks he's going to get involved in every situation. I'm not trying to point you out. Maybe. Right? But think about that for a second. As a CCW holder, if you're walking out of this building, as you're walking out, you hear a gunshot over here in the alleyway. You see a body on the ground with the dude with the gun. That's who I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of that hero, right, that has a CCW, because his name, he wants to put his name in the newspaper saying, I saved the world, right? Has no context of what actually just happened. Right? If I didn't tell you guys this, I'm not an attorney. This isn't legal advice, all right? But at the end of the day, from my experience of everything that I've gone through as a police officer, and everything I've experienced in the Second Amendment advocacy world, and everything I've experienced as being an expert witness in court, leave. You're only required to stay there if it's safe, and I just gave you the reason why it's not safe to stay. Okay? I just gave that to you. Guy's on the ground. He just tried to attack me. I'm okay for the most part, right? I'm getting into my vehicle so I can be safe. I'm leaving to a safe location. As I'm leaving, I'm calling 911. Because this is where you becoming the victim starts. Okay? So, what do I say? Here's the simple script, right? Again, I don't like scripts. You can read all this kind of stuff you want, right? Again, the call will be played in court. I promise you that. I promise you that. It will be played in court. Because it'll go back to, hey, did he read this from a script? How calm was he? What was his state of mind? All those type of things, right? So, what do? We give them the bare, basic information necessary for them to get the proper resources to that location. What's the bare minimum information? Hey, my name's Matt Haywood. I'm at the Walmart parking lot at this location, or I was at the Walmart parking lot at this location. Okay? There was a shooting. Am I lying or being deceitful? No, I'm providing factual information, but it's the bare, generic information necessary for to get the proper responses there, right? I need a police, fire, ambulance, whatever it is. Send everybody in the world over to Walmart at this location, right? What's a dispatcher's job? Keep you on the phone and ask you questions, right? The more they get you to talk, the more it can be used against you in court, okay? But this is your perfect opportunity to make yourself the victim. How do I make myself the victim? Stay on the phone first off. Shut up. Don't say anything. But the dispatcher's job is to ask you questions, right? When that dispatcher starts asking you questions like, hey, how many people were shot? How many people are injured? All that kind of stuff. You know what you get to say? I don't know. And what do you think the dispatcher is going to ask you after that? Well, what do you mean you don't know? I'm not there. It wasn't safe for me to be there. Where would you like me to go so I can cooperate with you? Right? And they're going to tell you where to go. And you say, thank you, I'll meet an officer there. And then you hang up the phone. Because guess what? That recording that's going to be played in court, guess what happens? You just gave the jury the information that you didn't feel safe you're at that location. Right? Yes, sir.
Do you need to say that you discharged your firearm?
No, state the bare minimum facts. Everybody else is going to call 911 and say you were the shooter. Right? Gentleman wearing a black long sleeve shirt, black slick black hair with blue jeans, driving whatever type of car he was driving out. Everybody else is going to say that. Right? Law enforcement will figure it out when they come and see you at whatever location dispatch told you. But by that time law enforcement gets there and you're there, who are you on the phone with? I already have my attorney on the phone. Right? Those little things right there. Prove that you're the victim. There was a shooting. I wasn't safe. That's why I'm not there. I wasn't safe to stay there. Okay? All right.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How far did you drive before?
I go wherever the dispatcher tells me to go. As soon as it's safe for me. So basically that Walmart situation, right? Taking care of the threat, making sure I'm good. I'm driving out of there. And then as I'm leaving the parking lot, I'm calling 911, right? Hey, my name's Matt Haywood. I was at this location. There was a shooting. You need to send police, fire, and ambulance over there. They're going to ask you questions. I don't know. I'm not there anymore. It wasn't safe for me to be there. Where would you like me to go? And let them tell you where to go. Okay? Yes, sir.
So if you're keeping you on the phone as long as possible, so the police arrive, when you call a lawyer.
Okay? You're not required to stay on the phone with 911 once you give that initial information. Hang up the phone. And you're not required to answer the phone when they call you back. When they tell you where to go, that's where you go. You hang up the phone. Right? And if you don't even get that far, where should you go? No, don't go home.
Police station.
I won't go home. I live 4.5 hours north of here. That's not really going to be good for me, right? Yeah. If they didn't tell me where to go, I'm probably going to drive to the police station, right? But again, you're probably going to be very amped up, adrenaline, all that kind of stuff. It's probably not even safe for you to be driving at a longer distance, right? I would find another place, and then I would call again. Say, hey, I'm the one that called a few minutes ago. I need your help too. Send somebody over to me, right? But again, if you don't hang up the phone the first time and you wait for them to tell you where to go, all that's covered.
I assume you don't tear ass out of the parking lot.
Oh, I'm tearing ass because I'm afraid of every single one of you that are CCW holders.
No, I mean, all right.
And if I'm tearing ass, that actually shows that I was scared, right? It can be spun both ways. Either way, we're screwed, right? Either way, remember, in self-defense, you still have to hold yourself accountable for every criminal act that you conducted, right? Because it's against the law to threaten somebody, right? How many of us have watched YouTube videos and they always tell you, hey, if you're attacked, you pull your gun out and you go, get on the ground, right? Stop or I'll shoot you. That's a criminal threat in the state of California, boys and girls, right? Me pointing a gun at somebody is brandishing, except in self-defense. But in order for me to claim self-defense, I have to hold myself accountable to my actions, huh? Right? Yeah, remember, self-defense means guilty until innocent. Because you have to admit what you've done. Hopefully your admissions of what your actions were through an attorney. Remember, all the other evidence is going to show everything that you want to tell the dispatcher, right? That's what the evidence is there for. That's what law enforcement gets paid to do, is investigate things. It's not up to you to give them all the information and let them cheat, right? That's what they get paid to do. Okay. So, remember, your name, where the location was, right? You can provide a physical description, right? Hey, if you're leaving the scene, yeah, I'm driving a gray Dodge Ram pickup, whatever it is, right? Where do you want me to go? It wasn't safe for me to be there, right? You don't need to really say I was attacked, right? There was a shooting, right? But this is kind of like a general thing that everybody tells you to do. And you're never going to memorize this, and you're never going to recall it perfectly, okay? But I just want that information in your head. So maybe by chance, God forbid, something were to ever happen. I pray to God nobody ever in this room or anybody else has to ever deal with this. But if you do, at least have that mindset and that knowledge of, hey, I just need to get the bare information out. Okay.
What if it happens in your house?
If it happens in your house, well, you're kind of stuck, right? You're not going to be fleeing your house, but
You take the gun away, you still,
no, I'm not manipulating anything there, my friend. Right? We could talk about castle doctrine. It's not really in this presentation, right? But nothing really changes inside your house and outside your house, right?
Do we have a castle doctrine in California?
We do, yes, sir. Absolutely. Castle doctrine in the state of California says that you are legally justified in the use of deadly force against an unlawful intruder inside your home if they have manifested an intent to commit violence upon anybody inside the home. Right? Remember, you don't have to prove somebody's intent. You just have to show what you perceive their actions to be doing. That's the beautiful thing about self-defense law is were your actions reasonable based on your perception of the incident. Right? But you need a good attorney. You can hire as many expert witnesses as you want, like myself, and I can never get on the stand and go, my friend here, this is exactly what he saw and this is exactly what he felt. Ain't going to happen, right? Because I'd be perjuring myself, right? So, yeah, that's why we go through that with your attorneys. Yes, sir?
So there was something that Mayo didn't pass. There was a Senate bill that they put on, and they made that you had to do retreats.
Yeah, so AB 1333, right? Assembly Bill 1333 was written by Assembly Member Zabur. Yes, it did not pass committees. It's probably coming back. Right? We're not going to talk about it tonight because it doesn't exist right now. But yes, essentially, if that would have went through and signed by Governor Newsom, our right to self-defense and castle doctrine would have been completely different landscape of what we're talking about now. Okay? But as of right now, yeah, you can use deadly force inside your home if you can articulate that that person was in your house unlawfully and they were manifesting intent to commit violence inside your home. Okay? Again, inside your home, not my backyard. All right?
So if you're hard in your house, let's assume you put barriers up and so on. And so there's a front gate, they go through that. And there's a doorway, they go through that.
Are they inside your home or are they in the driveway?
They come through the second doorway, they're in the house.
Okay.
So it seems like he's not coming in to have a cup of coffee.
Right. Yeah.
He's gone through 2 parking barriers already, and he's inside the house. Is there a presumption?
There's no presumption in California. It's up to your perception of that intruder's intent of being in the house.
If I'm locked behind a door, can I shoot the door?
No. Do not shoot through a door. Okay? Don't shoot through a door. Right? Especially if that person is outside your front door. Remember, the castle doctrine says they have to be an unlawful intruder, meaning there actually has to be a broken threshold into the interior of your home.
This is why you always lock your doors.
Okay, but even if I lock my doors, there still has to be an actual intrusion. I can't use deadly force against an attempt of the unlawful intruder. Right? I can only use deadly force against an unlawful intruder. That intrusion actually has to have made entry into my castle. Right? Don't shoot through the door. The only time I would say shoot through the door is if they're pointing a gun at you through the door. But why would you be standing by the door in the first place? Right? Don't be that guy that sits at the kitchen table with 3 fingers of whiskey with your shotgun and going, here, kitty, kitty, kitty. That is not defense of your home, Peter. Okay? Don't be that person. Okay? Yes, sir.
So I had an intrusion years ago, 3 intruders.
Okay?
And fortunately, all the alarms worked and they took off.
Good.
But I had a weapon and was ready to go. I think one guy was already inside, 2 were outside. I know that if I take down guy number 1, there's one guy that was huge, there's a strong likelihood. A, they're probably going to hightail out of it because they don't want to be involved. But B, I don't know what state of mind they're in. They'd be all hopped up on something. How do I address that? They have to intrude.
Well, they have to be unlawfully in your house, right? So here's what I'm going to...
If I see them doing one of these, they're coming for me.
Do you perceive that person's actions as an intent to commit violence?
Yes.
Okay, good to go. Under castle doctrine, you're good. Right?
If he's inside the house.
If he's unlawfully inside your house.
No, he's coming up the driveway.
You don't have to answer the door. Right? Even if he's kicking down the door, why would you stand behind the door? Let me ask you guys this real quick, and then we'll keep moving on. Is there anything in your house worth dying for other than your kids and your spouse? Then why are you going hunting in your own home?
All personal property.
Yes. Remember, personal properties. You can't use deadly force to protect your personal property. Right? Think about that. Is there anything inside my house we're dying for? No, that's what I have insurance for. If I'm sitting in my living room and I'm watching the World Cup tonight, and some tweaker kicks down my front door, goes to my kitchen, and starts raiding my fridge because he just wanted a cup of coffee, right? I don't have the legal right to use deadly force against him. I have the right to use force to remove him as an intruder, but I don't have the right to use deadly force because his intent is what? Wasn't to commit violence, was it? Now, having said that, if I'm in my bedroom and I hear somebody kick down my door, right? If I have my significant other with me, I go, hey, babe, somebody broke into the house. Go hide in the closet, call 911, okay? And my kids aren't there, so it's just me and her in the house, okay? Is there anything in that house worth it? No. So you know what I'm doing? My wife's on the phone with 911, and when I can hear that person, you know what I'm doing? I'm going, hey, I know you're here. You're not welcome. Get out. Cops are on the way. Don't come any closer to my room. I'm armed. Now, if they start proceeding towards your room, guess what? Now you have enough perception of the incident that they were there with the intent to commit violence. Now, don't you? Right? Don't go hunting in your own home. That gets every homeowner in trouble. What was that?
They know my location, now they can shoot me first.
Well, if they start rattling that door, guess what? They're getting sugar through the door too.
I understand, but why would I tell them my location and I'm there?
Don't come any closer. I'm armed. That's it. By the way, you have 911 on the phone anyway, right? You're all covered there. You're doing everything you can to prevent that. You're giving this guy ample opportunity to leave, right? And you're being able to prove that that person was there with the intent to commit violence. But if you go hunting in your own home,
But if you're barricaded in your own bedroom,
yeah, I'm putting myself in a position of safety, and as soon as I start seeing that door handle jiggle, game on, right? But I need to be able to articulate in court, and it's nice to have that on a 911 recording, that I've provided ample opportunity for this person to leave my house. And because I've provided him ample opportunity to leave my house, and now even though I've notified him that I am armed, if he approaches me, that is easy to prove that that person's intent wasn't just to steal my groceries or my TV.
Can I say, leave now, don't make me hurt you?
You don't have to even say that. Why would you even threaten somebody, right? Yeah. Okay. Again, I told you what I'd say. Get out of my house, you're not welcome. Don't come any closer, I'm armed, right? And let 911 deal with the rest of it. Okay?
Along the same line, real quick.
Uh-huh.
Even if you're on the street, you can't use your firearm for property.
Correct. You can't use deadly force to protect property, only life. That's correct.
There's so many carjacks here.
You can't use deadly force to protect the car, but you can use deadly force to protect yourself.
So you get out of the car.
Is it worth it? Here, bro. There's the keys. Take it. That's what I got insurance for. It's a diesel pickup. It's got $320 of freaking diesel in it. Take it. Right? All right. So, if I'm still on scene, law enforcement shows up, where do I want my gun? In the holster. In your holster. Why do I not want it on the ground?
Somebody else can grab it?
Yep. If I have my gun on the ground, I'm standing on top of it. It's not in my hands. Law enforcement shows up. Hey, where's the gun? It's right there. It's all yours, right? But ideally, I want it in my holster. Okay? Everybody else is going to already say, hey, you're the one that shot. You're going to get guns pointed at you too, right? So the best thing to do is what? Listen, right? Cops are going to be amped up. Don't do any stupid movements, any justification, right? They show up. You just stay quiet. You listen to what they want to do. They ask you where the gun is at without reaching or pointing towards it. Hey, it's in a holster on my waistband, right? Okay? If I'm not there, I was able to leave safely and I went to where dispatch told me to go. What do I do with my gun? I leave it in my truck. I get out of my truck when I get there. I leave it in my truck. I shut the door. I lock it. Okay? I don't want law enforcement searching my truck right now. That's where the gun's at. My attorney will direct them what they can and can't do. Because again, I'm already on the phone with my attorney, right? Okay? Now, by the way, again, body on the ground, you're the one with the gun, you're the suspect. You have two options. You're either going to go in the back of a patrol car in handcuffs, or your other option is what? The hospital. Why the hospital? I'm perfectly okay. Why do I want to go to the hospital? Okay, seem like the victim, right? Were you just in a high-stress environment? Yeah. Any medical professionals here? Okay. What happens when I have a sudden spike in heart rate and a sudden drop in blood pressure? Lose consciousness, potential stroke, right? You have heart conditions, could cause a heart attack too. That's what happens when your body's in fight or flight and adrenaline dump in a life and death situation. I want to go to the hospital, right? All it takes is for a colleague, coworker, friend, or enemy to sit there and record and seeing you get put in the backseat of a patrol car in handcuffs. What's the perception of that versus you getting loaded into an ambulance? Right? I want to go to the hospital. I want to make sure that I'm okay. Well, the officer's probably going to go with you, right? And yeah, you're being detained, absolutely. Okay. So again, if you're in that ambulance going to the hospital, just shut up. Okay.
What would you be handcuffed in the handcuffs?
You could. Yeah, you could be. Right?
I mean, will they take you to the hospital just because you asked for it?
If you're requesting emergency medical care, absolutely. They have to take you.
Yeah. Why would even be for?
I don't feel good. I'm lightheaded. I can't think straight, right? I'm having a shortness of breath. I'm having a hard time breathing, right? Make yourself the victim. Okay? All right. And again, remember, if you're on scene, you're going to get a gun pointed at you. You were involved in a shooting. Keep your hands visible. Follow everything that they say. It's easier to talk yourself into jail or talk yourself into a ticket, or God forbid, in a situation like this, it's easier for you to talk yourself into the grave with law enforcement. Okay? You already won one fight. Why are you going to go through a second fight? Right? You already survived one deadly encounter. Why are you going to put yourself in a position to be in another one? When the people that may potentially do that are the ones that you ask for help, right? Keep your gun away. Don't bring it out. do everything that they say, and hopefully somebody else is calling your attorney for you, right? Huh? Back in your holster. Back in my holster, right? If you're pocket carrying, find another way to carry it. Just saying, it's not the safest way to carry a gun, okay? If I don't want to put it on my holster, or maybe my holster fell out, wherever like that, yeah, I'm going to put the gun on the ground and I'm going to stand on it. Because that way it's not in my hands, but I'm in control of it. In case somebody were to distract me, nobody's going to come back and pick it up or move it or anything like that.
What about in the home? You're in the bedroom.
Inside your home, I'm going to leave it exactly. I'm going to take care of the problem until it's safe for me to grab my family and leave, and I'm leaving everything in there. Okay? Don't disturb anything. Leave it as it is. Okay? All right. So again, law enforcement shows up. They're going to start asking you questions, right? Yeah. Hey, if you want to say this, great. I was attacked. I was in fear for my life. That person is who attacked me. There's the gun or there's whatever it is, right? He saw it. And don't say anything else. I want to talk to my attorney. And hopefully before this even happens, you already have your attorney on the phone. And your attorney's going to tell you, yeah, go ahead and say that you were attacked. Go ahead and say that you were in fear for your life. Go ahead and say that that person was the attacker. Go ahead and say that wherever the evidence is, right, that person witnessed it. But at the end of the day, hey, I really want to cooperate with you guys, but I need my attorney first, right? And like I said, hopefully you already have your attorney on the phone. Okay?
I need my attorney, I don't want to go to the hospital.
Absolutely. Okay? So, why shouldn't we provide a full statement? We already kind of talked about this. This is have diarrhea of the mouth. Under a life and death situation, adrenaline can actually impair accurate recall. Right? How many of us have gotten into a car accident? Did you remember everything about that car accident right after it happened?
Absolutely.
How about 2 or 3 days later? Had a little bit better recollection of it, right? But you still didn't know everything. And it wasn't until you actually got the police report that oh, that's right. Okay? Yeah, under high stress environments, you're never going to be 100% accurate in your recollection, so why would you provide ammunition later that could be used against you, right? I fired 6 rounds. Well, you couldn't have fired 6 rounds because there's 17 shell casings on the ground. What does that look like? Oh, I think he was 3 feet away from me. But where you were standing, because you showed him, hey, I was standing there, but the blood is 32 feet away, what does it look like now? Right? You're not trying to be dishonest, but all that stuff is going to be spun by a prosecutor against you later on, saying that you're trying to be deceitful. Just shut up. Right? That's the most important thing I could ever tell you. The 3 words, just shut up. Right? Okay? Time distortion. That's a big one. Everything acts in slow motion. Again, that car accident situation, if you knew that car accident was going to happen, how long did it take? The accident itself was pretty quick, huh? But you remember it as what? Slow motion, frame by frame, right? I saw the beads. I saw his beady little eyes. I was staring at him, and he had a smirk on his face right before his car hit me, right? You remember those things. In a real life, high-speed thing, you would never be able to see that. But in a life and death situation, your body becomes hyper-focused on two senses, your vision and your hearing. Okay? But once your body relies on your vision, your hearing gets shut off, is what we call auditory exclusion. Okay, I was involved in an officer-involved shooting. I can tell you this. What I recall of the incident is completely different than what the actual police report says. Okay? Even to this date. Believe it or not, I actually saw the shell casing coming out of my gun. And I saw the back of the projectile going that way. I didn't hear the gunshot. Right? And the only thing other than that right there that I saw was the muzzle of a .38 Special pointed at me. I couldn't tell you by memory what that person looked like. Okay? Because what was my mind focused on? The one thing that was going to hurt me, and the only thing that was going to hurt me was the muzzle of that gun. Okay? I didn't hear anything else. I didn't hear all the radio traffic. I didn't hear the dogs barking. I didn't hear the person's mom yelling, don't shoot him, don't. I didn't hear any of that. Okay? All of these things. Tunnel vision, right? We just talked about that. All I saw was the muzzle of that gun. Okay? Memory gaps. Again, we kind of talked about that already, right? You don't remember exactly what happened now, but 3 or 4 days later, I remember some more details. This is exactly why law enforcement has that 3 sleep cycle or 72 hours before they provide a statement. So it allows them to rest and recover some of that memory. Yes, sir?
Obviously, you said to the police officer, I need to talk to my attorney. They have to stop asking questions.
They have to stop asking you questions, but they don't have to stop documenting anything that you say. It's what we call spontaneous statements, right? You tell me, hey, I want to cooperate. I need to talk to my attorney first. Okay, cool. But then I put you in the backseat of my car, and it's being recorded. Anything you say can still be used against you. Remember, you have no expectation of privacy in public unless you're actually on the phone with your attorney. But even if you're on the phone with your attorney, the law enforcement officer, if he hears that conversation, he can actually document certain things that you said because he's not documenting the conversation. He's documenting what's auditory available to the public. Right? Okay. So we got that criminal investigation, right? They're going to look at the crime scene. They're going to talk to witnesses. You may be subject to search warrants, right? Cell phone records, where you were at, all those type of things. Your firearm will be taken. I promise you that because it was used in the commission of a crime. It's going to be taken in California. Good luck getting it back. Okay? And then the prosecutor is going to get all the investigative information. He's going to make a determination of whether or not they're going to pursue charges against you. Right? Remember, just because you're a convicted felon and you can't own a firearm, it does not prevent you from using a firearm to defend your life. You always have the right to defend yourself. Okay? But if you're out there intentionally committing crimes, like carrying a firearm in a sensitive area, gun-free zone, right? Now your claim of self-defense starts dwindling. Okay? Does that make sense? Cool. So, again, dangerous business. Huh? Yes, sir. Go ahead. So, again, it's obviously self-defense. I don't need to worry about anything. I hate to break this to you guys. The days of I was in fear for my life are completely gone. Right? Completely gone. There's more things that you need to look at, right? And I don't have it in this slide, but I just want to give you guys this real quick. Just make a mental memory, okay? Mental note about this. In order to claim self-defense, you should be able to articulate 5 things. And if you have a good defense attorney, they're going to be able to refresh you on this. 1, you have to be innocent, right? I didn't start the fight, nor was I mutual party to the fight, okay? You have to prove that you or somebody else was in imminent danger, right? Remember, imminence is what's happening right now. Not what happened 5 seconds ago, not what could happen 5 seconds from now. It's what's happening right now. You have to use a proportionate amount of force, okay? So deadly force versus non-deadly force. But that force has to be what's likely to cause great bodily injury or death. You and I get into a shoving match. Is it possible that I fall, hit my head, and die? Is it likely? No. Okay? You and I get into a fist fight. I punch you in the nose. I break your nose. Is it possible you could drown on your own blood? Yeah. Is it likely? No. Okay? So remember, it's what's likely. The force likely is the proportional amount of force you can use back. Okay? Were your actions reasonable? Remember, in self-defense, you don't have to be perfect. Okay? You can make mistakes as long as those mistakes were reasonable. And the last one is, were you able to avoid or de-escalate the situation? Right? If you can't meet all 5 of those, your self-defense claim goes out the door. Okay? So again, make yourself the victim. Okay? So that's the physical fight.
So you don't have a slide for this one?
No. If you want it, I can send it to you.
What do you call this? This is the 5.
So look, here's what I want you to do. So you're writing stuff down. Look up Andrew Branca, Branca. He's a criminal defense attorney based out of Colorado. That's all he's ever done is self-defense law, and I want you to go get a copy of his free book. It's called Principles of Self-Defense. Okay? lawofselfdefense.com/free book. There you go. Okay?
What's that again? I think I have one in my office.
lawofselfdefense.com. Branca. And then after .com /free book. Okay. All right. So we have the physical fight. We've already talked a little bit about the criminal fight, right? But now we have the civil liability, right? Even if a prosecutor declines to pursue criminal charges against you, it does not protect you from civil liability in the state of California. Some states have that. Other states don't, like California. Okay? Even if you did everything 100% right, little Johnny's family is going to come after you. Right? And they're going to sue you for everything that you've done. And then all of a sudden, all their third, second, fifth, 103rd cousins are going to come around. Oh my God, you damaged my life. I'm injured. You took little Johnny from me and all that. It's going to happen. Okay? Got to have a good attorney for that too, right? Civil defense attorneys, $50,000, $200,000, that may or may not cover a civil case, right? You could be, expert witnesses like me, right? Like if your attorney were to call me and ask me to be an expert witness in your case, I'm charging $6,000 to review the case and $2,000 for every day I'm in trial. Can you come out of your pocket with that right away? Right? Some people can. Right? You're going to have to provide interviews, all that kind of stuff, and then trial, all that kind of stuff. So what are some civil lawsuits that can come out of it, right? We have wrongful deaths, personal injuries, negligent allegations, what we call pain and suffering too. All of these things can be associated, even if you did everything 100% right. Okay. Then we talk about that psychological aftermath, right? Interrupting sleep cycles. You may not be able to sleep. You might feel extreme guilt all the time. You might be hypervigilant or have real high anxiety levels when you're out in public. All right? This is why I tell people don't watch John Correa's videos from Active Self-Protection over and over and over and over again. Right? I've seen it. People will binge watch that type of stuff. And what happens? They go out and they're thinking they're in Brazil and everybody's out to get them. Right? You could be hypervigilant with all this. Your spouse and your family might have some stress, right? You might have that media attention that we talked about, right? Could you imagine the storm that could come up if Peter himself got involved in a situation? You don't think every single one of you might get a subpoena or something to provide a deposition on Peter's character? Right? How is that going to look? What do you think that's going to do to his mental health? I mean, it's already kind of down here anyway, but... Right? But these are things a lot of people don't realize. But think about this. This is if we get involved in a situation, right? What if we don't get involved in the situation? Hey, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm not getting involved at the 7-Eleven. Are you mentally prepared to go home, turn the 5 o'clock news on, and see that there is an armed robbery at that 7-Eleven that you had the opportunity to stop, and now they're putting that young lady in the morgue? Are you mentally prepared for that? Again, that's a moral decision you guys have to make. But a lot of people don't talk about that side of it too. Okay? And this is what...
I actually had to confuse the situation myself.
I'm sorry for bringing it up if it disturbs you, 7-Eleven. I can just Circle K if that helps.
No. It actually happened.
Well, first off, I'm glad that you're still here, sir. Truly. So again, remember, every law enforcement agency in the country provides critical incident debriefing. So should you. Go seek a counselor. Go talk to somebody professionally. If you don't want to go pay a doctor $1,000 an hour, hell, take my phone number and call me. I'd be happy to be an ear for you. Okay? Be happy to listen to you. And then I could even share my experiences that I went through as a police officer and even after I retired. Okay?
You haven't listened to one part of my conversation with you?
My phone call is not going to be recorded, sir. Okay? All right. So, again, is it worth it? Is it worth being financially ruined for? Right? Is it worth going to jail and prison for? Is it worth being injured or dying for? If you can't answer yes to all those questions, go home. Right? I'm going to pick on Jason up here just for a second. You guys are my jury. Jason was involved in a self-defense situation. Okay? I'm the prosecuting attorney. Now, Jason has a good criminal defense attorney that understands that he is the only person in this world that can convince the jury of what he felt and what he perceived as to happening before he used deadly force. So because he's got a good criminal defense attorney, his attorney is actually going to put him on the stand. Okay? But that gives me, the prosecutor, an opportunity to do what? Cross-examine, absolutely. And during that cross-examination, certain questions could come up like, hey, Jason, is it correct that you've had your permit for 6 years? Yeah, and you've invested approximately $12,000 to $15,000 of your life to have a piece of plastic that allows you to carry a gun in public, right? And you told your attorney that in the jury that your goal of having a CCW permit was to use it to defend yourself or the life of another person, right? Yeah. What did I just do? You guys are my jury. He just admitted that he had the intent to use it, huh?
You turned into a vigilante.
Yeah. But if he were to ask me the same series of questions, and then he got that question going, hey, Matt, what is your goal of having a CCW permit? And I just simply said, to go home. You notice in that statement, there's no more influence of violence or intent to use my gun. My permit, my gun is no different than my wallet, my cell phone, my keys. It allows me to leave my house to go do what I have to do to go home. That's how you make yourself the victim. That's how you make that emotional connection to the jury. Because that jury doesn't want to be there either, do they? You didn't want to be in that situation. You just wanted to go home. How many of you just got the chills right now? I just wanted to go home. Right? I know some of you got the chills. Or an emotional heart set. Your heart just sank a little bit when I said that. Now you have a little grumbly in your stomach. Because I made that emotional connection. That's what you have to do. That's why you need a good criminal defense attorney in a situation like this. Okay? All right. Have something, guys. Who here has an attorney in their back pocket right now they can call? Friend, family member, or company? What company?
The one that everyone has. USCC.
Okay. Thank you for having something. How about you?
I have 3. So I've got $5 million coverage to cover me when I'm on duty, logging off. I have attorneys on retainer, and I have USCCA.
Okay. First off, you're wasting money because USCCA says that if you have dual coverage, you're required to use the other companies first, so you're wasting money there. But thank you for having something.
USCCA says it?
Yes, sir. Look in your policy.
Yeah, I'm thinking of leaving it.
Okay.
But
Who else has CCW safe? Great. Anybody else? USCCA? Okay. Who do you have? All right. So everybody has something here? You didn't raise your hand. You don't have anything?
not yet.
Why not?
That's what I'm here.
Okay. Do you have an attorney you can at least call, or are you going to wait till you go to the jail and you're going to look at the billboard and try to figure out which one's the best? Okay. So you have an attorney in your phone? You know the phone number, everything? Are they going to answer the phone at Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the morning when on their vacation having adult activities with their spouse? That's the time you're going to need them. Have that guaranteed attorney in your back pocket. Okay? I'm never going to tell you guys what type of underwear to wear. And I won't ever tell you what type of insurance or coverages you need. But I will tell you one thing. There's a reason why Peter's invited here, FLP here. Right? And there's a reason why every single one of his staff members rely on FLP to protect them and their families. Okay? I'm glad you guys have something. But when you're looking at companies to get coverage, the first thing that you want to be looking at is who's answering the phone when you call that emergency hotline. Do you want it to be a customer call center, or do you want it to be an actual attorney? Want it to be an attorney, okay? For some of these companies, and I'm not going to name them, but you can do your own research, and I hope you have done your own research, because half this class uses a company that is answered by a customer call center. Yes, sir.
So I have attorneys on retainer.
Yep.
For this specific reason. And I have USCCA because attorneys on retainer still coverage sucks. I don't want to do that.
USCCA will not cover you if you have another company covered. Unless you have USCCA involved in the entire thing, they will not cover a penny of your defense. You're wasting money. Yes, sir.
Is FLP nationwide or just California?
We are nationwide. Okay? So when you're looking at these companies, first I want that emergency hotline answered by an attorney so my communications are protected by attorney-client privilege. Second off, are you looking at a company that's a reimbursement program, or are you looking at a company that provides everything up front from the moment that you call? There's an in-between there. Some of these companies, you call, it's an attorney answer, and then they say, thank you for the information. We're going to roundtable this and we'll get back to you. Right? Some companies don't even have an attorney network. Right? They rely on their own attorneys and they rely on you to find an attorney, and then they'll reimburse you for that attorney. Others say, pro hoc vice, right? Well, I'm not licensed in California, but if you have your own attorney there and they agree to allow me to work underneath their bar license, I will represent you. But what a lot of people don't understand is pro hoc vice doesn't just have to be approved by your attorney. It also has to be approved by the judge. Your coverages aren't guaranteed. Right? Understand, that's what we always say, read the fine print. Okay? But let me tell you about why we're here with FLP. First off, we've been around since 2014. Okay? Every company can say at least one of these four things. FLP can say all four of them proudly. First off, FLP has never been sued by a member for not fulfilling their promises of the contract and agreement. As a matter of fact, FLP on several occasions has actually gone outside of our policy to cover our members. How many of you here are familiar with red flag laws? Okay, gun violence restraining order. If you get served with one of those, if you want to get your guns back, you're going to have to go to court. You can have legal representation for that. That was never in FLP's coverages until a member needed it. And then guess what? We covered them. And then now every member of FLP has that benefit now. We never even raised the rates. Right? The second thing is FLP is proud to say that every member that has ever used their services is still a paying member today. We don't drop or exclude members unless they fraudulently file a claim with us. What do I mean by fraudulently file a claim? You call the emergency hotline, hey, somebody was chasing me and he was with a knife. I turned around, I had to shoot him. We're going to cover you until it's found out that the person chasing you with the knife was the clerk that you just robbed at the Circle K. Right? As long as it's by fraud, it's not by fraud, we're covering you. Okay? FLP has never lost a criminal or a civil case in trial, and FLP has never allowed a settlement or a plea deal in criminal and civil court. We're the only company that can say all four of those things. And we can do that because we have over 2,500 attorneys across the country in our network, and we vet our attorneys. They have to have a bar license minimum 5 years, and they have to have a perfect track record and never have allowed a settlement or a plea deal. I personally know divorce attorneys that are on another company's network that many of you are members of today. That's not who I want representing me. I want somebody that knows their shit. Okay? If you have your own attorney if you're with an FLP and you want to use your own attorney, great. We're going to provide you our attorney until your attorney can meet those vetting requirements, and then we'll pay that attorney. And we're the only company that pays full rates for your attorneys too. Right? You have an attorney friend charging you $30,000 retainer and $1,200 an hour. FLP pays 100% of that. Other companies, it's reduced down to 60%. Right? So have the best out there. As a member with FLP in the state of California, all of your attorney fees in both criminal and civil are paid up front. It's an attorney-answered hotline, 24/7. You make that phone call, you're talking to an attorney, and they're dispatching a local attorney. On several occasions, our local attorneys have beat law enforcement to the scene. Okay? How great is that? On several occasions, our attorneys has beat law enforcement to the scene of a crime. Okay? Yes, sir.
On the family premium, if I live here and my son lives in Dallas, would we be on the family plan?
No, and we're going to talk about that here just a minute. Let me break these down.
I'm the only person in the house.
State of California, your basic plan covers all your attorney fees in both criminal and civil court. No caps, no limits. It's upfront payment by FLP. It's not a reimbursement program. It covers red flag laws. If you have to do background checks for work and it lists that you're a suspect in a criminal homicide, you're probably going to lose your job, huh? FLP comes in and helps expunge the record for that. That's $10 a month. Y'all paid more in parking just to listen to me talk for a couple hours tonight. $10 a month, right? If you want the bougie plan, where basically equivalent to everybody else's top tier program, all 50 states, bail bond, expert witnesses like me, private investigators, scene cleanup. Blood and guts ain't easy to clean up, guys. Okay? Counseling support, everything that's related to a self-defense case, all that is $22 a month. Now, FLP is not just about firearms. It's about all forms of self-defense. Hands, feet, watch too many John Wick movies, stab somebody in the neck with a pencil. Right? Hell, I get stuck at a peaceful protest right here on the 110. I'm covered. Any weapon of self-defense, you're covered. If you guys have family members, it doesn't have to be a married spouse. We're not an insurance product. We're a prepaid legal service. So guess what? If you have another adult in your household that you consider a life partner or your significant other, they're covered under the family plan. And all of your minor children are covered with us too.
What does that mean?
Minor children?
No, what does it mean that they're covered?
Everybody gets the premium benefits. Any form of self-defense, any expense related to that is going to be covered by FLP up front. Okay? For those of us that have minor kids, where are our kids going to get in trouble at? School. Right? They get involved in a bullying situation and the parents of the bully decide to sue you because your son broke little Johnny's arm. Right? Your family's covered for that. Yes, sir. Okay? It's still less than what you guys are paying for other companies with a better company and with a better track record, right? Yes, sir.
You said it's a legal service, not insurance.
That's correct.
Get the CCW card. It says a premium civil liability up to $2 million.
Yep. So let's talk about why we don't offer civil liability damage protection. First off, we don't want to put a target on your back. Now, I would challenge you to look at your policy because your policy doesn't say it's $2 million for you. It's $2 million for CCW safe. And it's aggregate. And it's a 12-month period. So if they have to pay multiple lawsuits over a 12-month period, you're not going to get the full $2 million. Okay? So we don't put a target on your back. We would rather spend $200,000 in attorney fees to defend you in civil court than award Johnny and his family for the bad shit that he did to you. We've never lost. We've never allowed a plea deal. We cover the legal expenses. But if you lose, we don't cover it because we're not an insurance product. But again, we have the perfect track record. We've never allowed a plea deal. And again, we'd rather spend $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in legal expenses rather than to reward that family or that person's actions against you. Right? Let me give you a little peace of mind here. 1972. What's the significance of 1972? That's the last time a civil trial judgment was awarded against a defender. It doesn't happen in trial. Every other company will settle it out. We will not. We don't care if your defense is $3 million, we're covering it. $10. Right? So, again, FLP. Peter trusts us. We're offering you guys, we have discounted rates if you were to sign up today. Okay? If you guys sign up in person today, I'm actually waiving startup fees too. Right? If you guys sign up in class in this presentation, I'm going to waive your startup fees too. So it's literally $10. You walk out of here with a guaranteed attorney in your pocket for $10.
Yeah. My line is, could you go through the contract and find something? Sure. You can always find something you don't like in every contract. I looked at most of them that most of you have. I think they're the best one out there. Are they perfect? No. Nobody is. But I think that's why I had Matt come, and that's why we have that cards here.
So there's a couple ways you guys can sign up. We're going to take a break real quick, and then we're going to come in and do a legal update. And I know we're going to get out of here by 9:15-ish, or however late you guys want.
I smoked cigars at 10.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do, guys, we're going to take a break, okay? Come back here in like 10 minutes. If you guys wanted to sign up, please, I encourage you, don't leave here without something. It's a guaranteed attorney in your pocket when you leave this door, Okay? You have 7 days to cancel, 100% money back guarantee. If you choose to cancel after that 7 days, they'll reimburse you at a prorated rate. For those of you that have coverage already, if you're on an annual plan, they are required by federal law to reimburse you at a prorated rate as well. If you're on two particular companies that I'm not going to name right now, that refund will pay for your membership and you'll have enough money to go take your spouse out to dinner tomorrow night. Okay? Yes, sir.
How long does it take to go into effect?
Immediately. As soon as I have that application in hand, you are protected and covered. Right now. We have private investment firms with over $8.6 billion in financial assets. More importantly, though, we don't spend our money on fluff. We don't spend our money on marketing. We don't spend $50 million. We don't spend our money on fluff, right? Yes. Over $8.6 billion in financial capital behind us. Okay?
You don't see them at SHOT Show.
We don't spend millions of dollars on marketing. The money that we make is literally to protect our members. Okay? If you want a $5 range bag for $500 a year, fill it out. I'll go down to the store and go buy you one. And then I'll charge you double for what I'm going to charge you guys today. Okay?
Do you recommend the middle one?
I always say this. Even if you don't have a permit, right, or anything like that, do you travel? Yeah, I travel. Even if I'm not going to carry a gun in another state, is it possible that I could get into a fist fight somewhere? Yeah, right? More importantly, this just covers your attorney fees. This covers bail, expert witnesses, everything associated with self-defense case.
Now,
For an extra $12.
the kids, I'm an empty nester.
Okay?
So family premium, I mean, you're not going to cover adult children.
Right. So if you have adult children, we have many people that actually sign up their adult children under their own plans. Jason's already a member with us. I actually invited him over here he was kind of curious.
So I sign up and I can cancel the others.
You can cancel the others right away.
I do have to say, I want a little bit more rational.
Yes, sir.